I'd like to just review and qualify something we talked about last time, and this, because there was a comment, I think it was Melissa Broughton who made a comment on the ontological issue here in Revelation 17, and I think I did not understand at the time exactly what your comment was, but I think it is correct. John Vucinic helped me understand it, and I think it needs to be said. Now, obviously, the most simple point we could make is that the designation of a power that was and is not and is to come is a contrast to God, who is the one who was and is to come. So there is a contrast of identities, you might say. Now, whether it doesn't quite work to say it as an ontologic statement, because obviously you cannot say about the beast or about the dragon or about Lucifer that he is the one who was and is not and is to come, that he was in the same sense that God was, or is to come in the same sense that God is the one who is to come. So I'm probably confusing you badly here, but let's just say that unambiguously, the book of Revelation thinks of human reality in a sort of triangular shape. That there is in human reality, there is in cosmic reality, three kinds of beings, not two kinds of beings, three kinds of beings. There is God, and there are human beings, and there are non-human beings or angels, or so non-human beings. So if we were to make this a statement on ontology, and say this goes as high as you can get, that the one who was and is not and is to come, should that have a human referent or a non-human referent? That would help. Wouldn't that help a little bit? That it probably should have a non-human referent. That it is a contrast to the one who was and is to come, but it has a non-human referent rather than a human referent. Now, it's okay. We can settle. We can just say that it is a contrast. That these are contrasting identities, but it seems like it is the non-human part that is being intended by the one who was and is not and is to come. That needed to be qualified, because obviously you cannot say even of Lucifer that he in just hard identity currency would be equal to God in the sense of was. That wouldn't work. And if that's what you meant to say, I think that was a very important qualification and needed to come out. I wasn't really thinking in those terms. I just meant, because I meant to say that this is the one. There in terms of ontological categories of beings. We have three categories of beings. Which category of being are we talking about here? We're talking about the non-human category. It's not God, it's not human beings, it is that other category, which is being highlighted much more in Revelation 17 than in the other. Then it's coming increasingly into daylight, you might say, in Revelation 17. We also said, and we're reviewing a little here, the beast that was and is not and is to come, talked about twice in Revelation 17. That could also be a description of method. And again, we need to see it in terms of contrast. So the method here then would be stealth, secrecy, deception. The method of God would be what? Since we are still talking contrasts here, just like we're talking contrasts on the level of ontology, on the level of being, we're talking contrasts on the level of method. So if you say that the method of the opposing side is stealth and secrecy and deception, God's method is what? Transparency. transparency, see through it, reveal it, and not wanting to believe for other reasons than what you truly are. You see, God is not wanting. The other side needs to be something other than what it is to be believed. And God does not want to be seen as something other than what he is to be believed. So the ideology of transparency, and of course we live in a world where the ideology of transparency, sort of doing a little bit of a take-home thing here. We live in a world where the ideology of transparency is all but abandoned. Is all but abandoned. Even in the free world, the so-called free world, has walked away from the ideology of transparency. Goodbye. Is an amazing book by the late senator from New York, Daniel Patrick Moynihan, who has written a book about it has secrecy in the title, but it talks about he does a survey of 19th century or 20th century thinking in the U.S. government, in the intelligence community, CIA, other projects that are thought to be necessary secrecy projects in our time, and I do not think that the book of Revelation is irrelevant as a critique of ideologies, even political ideologies that make a necessity out of secrecy. The book of Revelation is committed to an ideology of transparency. The other side is committed to an ideology of secrecy and non-transparency. Then we said that it is not in Revelation 17, is also a description of story, where you have a sort of the person or the power or the persona that is described in the story is also present and then not present and then present again. Did we do that? We're reviewing. So there is all those possibilities, and I think we would be justified in saying that each of those elements ought to be part of our construct when we talk about this power that is not and is to come. Okay, now we're back to where we left off last time, and I just, we're moving at slow pace here. We're grinding to a halt. We're sinking. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated, and they are 7 kings. And here I changed the translation even more from last time. So your slide last time, now I have literalized it completely. The 5 have fallen. The 1 is, and the other has not yet come, and when he comes, he must remain only a little while. It doesn't say only, so that only should disappear from the text there. That I have carries over from other translations. It does say he must remain a little while. That's the literal translation. So, and Snorri has highlighted the 5, the 1, and the other as important specifications in the text. All of them have the definite article. All of them seem to suggest a specific referent, and this is what we want to pursue today. Who are they? Very often, or the most, let's say, the most common interpretation, again, just to review that, the most common interpretation among scholars of the book of Revelation is that the book of Revelation describes political realities contemporary to the author. Realities in the Roman Empire contemporary to John, and so these 7 heads in the Roman imperial model that most scholars hold, the 7 heads are considered 7 Roman emperors, and since this would seem to be a very strong playing card for what you might call the contemporary historical interpretation. This is what the terminology, contemporary historical. That's where most critical scholars are. Most scholars see the book of Revelation as that. We could also call this, some people would call this a preterist view, where you see that the book of Revelation describes things most of which have already happened. They happened at the time of John. They happened during the first century. So in the contemporary historical model, the 7 heads are 7 Roman emperors. And this should, as I said, this should be a very strong card, because if you are right there and you are describing things, contemporary to yourself, you could hardly get it wrong. This is like, let's do it in a contemporary historical reading. Who is your present president? Barack Obama. Who was president before him? And who was president before him? And before him, see now, that's the father Bush. And before him. Well, you are Reagan, yes, and before him, Carter, and before him. Okay. It wasn't hard, was it? This is a contemporary historical reading of our time, similar to what you might want to do with the book of Revelation in the contemporary historical model. So why are there, here I listed 8, but my source for this slide has 9 different options for how you count the emperors in Revelation 17, how you count the heads. So you want to... So what's the difference? Why are they so scattered? So some of these, you have read this history. So some people want to skip them because they don't really count. So and rightly so. You see, in this column they skip them, and in this column they skip them. So that could explain it, but we're still left with quite a, even if everybody agreed to do it that way and everybody doesn't agree to do it that way, you would still have quite a diversity. So why if there is in the contemporary historical reading, why are they so scattered? So there has to be some other reasons too. Yeah. So this is the right one then. Or this one. Well, Domitian doesn't get in here. There are many don't have him at all. And by the way, yeah, let's, so any other wanting to comment here? Does the diversity of views here, does that seem to pose a problem for the whole model, for the whole way of understanding these emperors? Some count from here. I'll just explain it a little bit. Some count from Julius Caesar, saying he was the first emperor, and you just go through the list, and those people who prefer this column, where Nero is number 6, the one who is, and one has yet to come, they think that the book of Revelation was written in the 60s. It was written before the fall of Jerusalem. That's what they think. That's why they have this list. And likewise here, these people also think that the book of Revelation was written, and Nero is number 6, but then they skip these 3 guys, because here there was more like civil war, but some Roman historians do not skip them. So they count them, and Vespasian will be number 7. And then, so this view needs a theory of the time of composition of the book of Revelation. This view is dependent on that. This view here thinks that the book of Revelation was written during the time of Domitian. And so So, they kind of, well, how does it do it? This view, it's more clear here, but it's roughly in this area here. And so some people think that Domitian is number 6. And, so there is a time of composition feature for why they make this commitment and not this commitment. But that makes it confusing, of course, because you need something. This king list with its specificities, it's supposed to tell you when this book was written. It's supposed to be sort of the clinching proof. And it doesn't do it, because you have to have some other, you have to resort to some other things to make your case. So the real hardcore preterists who think that the book of Revelation is fully sort of exhausted by first century things, the real hardcore preterists, they are committed here. But I would say that most people are here. Most people are more likely to be here. But it's easier for the hardcore preterists to make the list of 7, because they don't need to exclude any of the emperors. They can do the whole list. It's much harder for the sort of softcore preterists, because they need to do a lot of editorializing on find other reasons for why the list should be like this and who you exclude. You see here, wow, this one is pretty amazing. It skips Tiberius. And they do so. They have specific reasons for who they want to skip. Who persecuted, who was more sort of divinized, and so on. But you see, this is quite a spread, and it might just throw some doubt on the whole project. Maybe I should make a slide next time from this book. This book is written by Stephen Friesen. And I would say in some ways this book is, nobody has immersed themselves in Roman imperial realities. Nobody of the contemporary interpreters of the book of Revelation have immersed themselves in contemporary imperial realities more than Stephen Friesen. He teaches in Texas at Austin, imperial cults and the apocalypse of John. Ideologically, this is quite a clever book, and I think it has a lot of merit. But he, who is more committed to a contemporary historical reading than just about anybody, he is really, really committed to that. He says you can't do it this way. He says it doesn't work this way. You have to step a little back, and it's a little. I think I need to move on. So maybe I will just add a couple of slides or copy this page and attach it, or somehow get it to you, because his comment on why you can't do it that way, if there is time, maybe we'll try to read it toward the end. We need to move on. We have talked about then the relations between the historical realities and the symbolism of Revelation, and we have said that the Roman imperial foot is too small for the shoe of Revelation symbols. The one point John wishes to emphasize here is one person who believes in this view. The one point John wishes to emphasize is that the imperial line has a short time to run before the emergence of a new monstrous Nero, an 8th who is one of the 7. You go back to our imperial list and you can imagine that that's the kind of sort of bottom line on the imperial view. And then this comment, that this is really a dead end. However one tries to calculate the 7 kings as Roman emperors, he encounters difficulties that cast considerable doubt on the entire approach. And this is my view. That's definitely my view, that this has been quite unsuccessful, although with the qualifications that Stephen Friesen makes, you could say, that he manages to retain some plausibility for the contemporary historical reading. Yes. Yes, but that's quite an interesting take in the New Jerusalem Bible, that he does not that the author didn't mean us to count, because all the scholarly effort has been quite the opposite. Exactly. Not only does he mean that we should count, but this is so specific that if you shirk, if you sort of shirk the task of finding out who it was, you are not interpreting the book of Revelation, So, okay, now here to another view. There is this text in Jeremiah and many similar texts in the Old Testament where the mountains are not kings. They are not individuals. They are world powers. They are empires, world powers. I am against you. This is a text against the Babylonian Empire. I am against you, O destroying mountain, says the Lord, that destroys the whole earth, that is to say, the mountain. I will stretch out my hand against you and roll you down from the crags and make you a burnt-out mountain. This is the image, by the way. This image, by the way, is used in the book of Revelation in the trumpet sequence. One of the trumpets, I think it's the second trumpet, or one of the early trumpets, uses that image of a burned-out mountain. And here you have mountain then as empire. So that's another view. And that is a view that has been more common in what we have called here the continuous historical view, that says that Revelation aims to tell the whole story of history, so sort of give you the whole story of human reality from beginning to end. And in the continuous, sort of comprehensive historical paradigm, these 7 heads are world empires. And then, so you start counting, and again, this list, well, you can comment on it. Egypt, Assyria, Babylon, Medo-Persia, Greece, Imperial Rome, ecclesiastical Rome is one proposal at the end. Any comment on this one? Well, it's not quite all of world history. There must be something before Egypt, And it is also, somewhat selective, isn't it? Because you could also always postulate some other combinations as you go through the list. So what has provided warrant for this list is, first, of course, compared to the Roman Empire list, it is more comprehensive. But it's also that these are the empires that persecuted the people of God, that oppressed the people of God. And there is not bad merit for that. That would work. That would certainly apply to Egypt and Assyria and Babylon, Medo-Persia to some extent, and down the list. So you could do some of that. You could say that this is better. But here is my comment on these two models. Matching Roman emperors with the 7 kings is not persuasive. And by the way, even Stephen Friesen is saying that. And your Bible is saying that. The New Jerusalem Bible in a footnote says it too. So we're not, even for those who do the contemporary historical reading, they shy away from that. Some of them do. Matching world empires with the 7 kings is better, but the result must be qualified. I think the comprehensive aspirations of the book of Revelation make that a better idea. Counting from the first to last is a flawed strategy if neither is known with certainty. If you know for sure who is number 1, count it. If you know for sure who is number 7, count it. If you know for sure who is number 6, that works too. But if you don't know, that strategy won't work, because if you are counting from a certain one that is certainly known, then you see what I'm trying to say here? And so if you don't know for sure that number 1 is Julius Caesar, the rest will come out wrong. If you don't know for sure that number 6 is Domitian, it will also come out wrong. That's an excellent point, and a very necessary point, that the number 7 should be understood symbolically as a symbol for completeness, for totality, rather than that there were only 7. Now, let's just do an aside on that one. Do you think there were more than 7 churches in Asia Minor? That there were churches in other towns than the towns that are addressed in the letters to the 7 churches? Clearly there was. Clearly there were many more churches. But 7 is a number that has symbolic significance. The 7 stands for the whole. Stand for the whole. So sure, that would work. So I think we have done some qualifiers here. Well, let's try to take it a little further. What I am going to hint at or propose here is a view I have not seen anyone try. I'm not putting all my eggs in this basket, but I just want to see how it works here, because there will be. We're not going to burn all our bridges if we go this route and try it out a little. But I hope I can explain it so you can see what I'm trying to suggest. Here is Revelation 7:10 again, and now I have made it as literal as I could make it. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman is seated, and they are 7 kings. So that's a conflation of images already at the beginning there. 7 heads are 7 mountains, and there are also 7 kings. The 5 have fallen, the one is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must remain a little while. See, in many translations will skip the definite article here in the translation. They will say 5 have fallen without the definite article, 1 is without the definite article, and the other has not yet come with the definite article. Is that how most of your translations have it, if you look in your Bibles? That's how most translations do it. They do 5 have fallen without the article, the 1 is without the article, the other has not yet come. I am making an issue out of the article. I am going to so the definite article, that is a point of concern here. Now, the definite article in Greek is much more ubiquitous than in English. If I were to say, for example, refer to my friend Snorri Olafsson, in Greek I could use it with the article. You could use, names of a person can have the article in Greek. That sounds quite strange. Greek says ho Jesus. It uses the article with Jesus, ho Jesus. That's quite odd for us. So the presence of the article in Greek, so you hear what I'm trying to say? The use of the article, the Greek uses the article where we don't use it many times in English. So we mustn't overinterpret it. We mustn't underinterpret it either, because the article always does what? I mean, regardless, it always, what is the article intended to do, even in our degenerate language? I'm talking about English and Norwegian. In our degenerate languages, it specifies, doesn't it? It specifies, it definitizes. So the article is there, and I am proposing to make something of it. And I think that it should have been, certainly it is inconsistent to translate it, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not come, when in all instances the article is there in Greek. I'm saying it should be translated, the 5 have fallen, the 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And just sort of do a preliminary opinion poll here. What does a translation that uses the article suggest to you? It has been referred to before, so there is a sort of reiteration of something that is known. It may have been introduced as an unknown, and now it is a known. What else? Any other general observations? Well, it specifies it again. It sort of circumscribes the figure, doesn't it? It definitizes, so that's what we're saying here. Now, so here are some questions. Focusing on imagery in Revelation 17, these three images, the one, the other, and an eighth. Is it possible that the text says only what we know already? That it is in fact a reiteration and not an introduction of something new? Are the one and the other, are they known mostly by reading history, which is what most people have been doing, or are they known by reading the book of Revelation? Of course, you can do both. Well, you get my agenda. My agenda is that we should get this right by reading Revelation carefully before we read history. I'd like them to be known narratively before we know them historically. Do you see what I'm suggesting there? Let's see what the narrative is up to, and then see what history might be up to. Only the one, the other, and an eighth are truly of interest. In Revelation 13, we have this text, starting in verse 11. Then I saw another beast. Here, allo, which is a very strong word for another. Here is allo, another, without the article. Another beast that rose out of the earth. Verse 12. It, that is to say, the other one, exercises all the authority of the first beast. Here with the article, to proto teriou. That's the beast. On its behalf. So these two beasts are working very closely together. You see that? That is very clear in the text. They work very closely together. And it makes, the second beast, makes the earth and its inhabitants worship the beast, the first one. In your translations, the first beast. But I wanted to just tease it out more broadly. To worship the beast with the article, the first one. To terion, to proton. This is, in Revelation 13. So here we are introduced to two beasts that stand apart, that sort of stand out, that are important. And now let's look at this sort of adding it up. We've talked about this before, so much of it is by way of review. I am not saying this here, we're not seeing this here for the first time. That there is in Revelation a malevolent threesome. That where there is a there is a benevolent threesome too. The benevolent threesome are who? The Father, the Son, and the Spirit. And the malevolent threesome are the dragon, the beast from the sea, and the beast from the earth. And they have a relationship to each other, sort of a synergistic relationship to each other, not unlike the relationship between the benevolent members, the members of the benevolent threesome. Do you see what I'm saying here? So you have the Father, the Son, and the Spirit as the good threesome, and you have these powers somehow in an imitating role. So again then in Revelation 13, 11, and 12, we have another beast, and we have the first beast, or the beast, the first one. And then in Revelation 16, verse 13, we have the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. These are clearly other ways of talking about the same malevolent threesome. And there are more texts like this. In Revelation 19, the dragon is implicitly present. In chapter 20, verse 2, the dragon is explicitly present. In 19:20, he is implicitly present. There is again this threesome, the dragon, the beast, and the false prophet. And in one very intriguing way of describing two of these members, the book of Revelation says these two, hoi duo, these two. So Am I confusing you here, or you see a direction? I don't know. Anyway, here is our phenomenal illustration. This is the dragon. This light green one here is the dragon. This is this the color? Is that beige? Is it yellow? This is the beast from the earth. And this is the beast, this is the beast from the sea. And this is the beast from the earth. They are all in different colors. They all, as they are introduced in the book of Revelation, they all have quite distinctive identities. They are quite clearly separated from each other. That's how they appear in Revelation 12 and Revelation 13. Now, here is what we are proposing, and what Snorri is trying to help us see what you think about his way. Strange moves are happening. All of these three entities are moving in strange ways in front of our eyes as we move into Revelation 17. Now, don't blink. Keep your eyes open. Don't miss out on anything here. Well, you think you have seen it all, but wait till you see this one. Now I am going to leave, and you can think about this for a week or so. What is that? What is that? What happened? What happened in Revelation 17? Now, we are hypothesizing here. We are trying to interpret. We're trying to have a sense of the movements, the sort of progression. So what has Snorri tried to help us see here? Well, they're working together. Surely there is, so that we have seen before, because in Revelation 13 they're also working very closely together. But I tried last time to make the case that there is a conflation between the dragon and the sea beast, that they seem to move into each other, that certain characteristics that used to be characteristics of the sea beast or used to be characteristics of the dragon now seem to sort of make these two be less easy to separate. The sea beast in Revelation 13 comes from the sea, comes out from the sea. The beast, the look-alike beast in Revelation 17 comes from the bottomless pit. And the bottomless pit is where? Who lives in the bottomless pit? That's where the dragon lives. So the notion of a conflation of identities seems already to have been established in those two images. So what we're seeing here then is that it becomes less easy to separate them. That's what I'm proposing here. They are more closely linked, and there is all kinds of things moving together here, because who is truly important of these threesome? Who is really the main player here? The beast from the earth? No. The beast from the sea? Who intends to stand on stage and be the one who gets all the sort of attention in the end? Certainly none of those other guys. Certainly, the dragons. So that's the game here that's going on. So we can't recap that because we have never fully discussed it here. We have said that in narratival terms, it means the earth in Revelation 12 is a good place because the earth came to the help of the woman in Revelation 12. So the earth is on the side of good in Revelation 12. In Revelation 13, when the beast comes from the earth, the beast comes from a place that used to be helping the good side. So on narratival terms, the beast from the earth comes from where you least would have expected it. That's narratival. Now, historically, we still have work to do. We will do it, though. We'll try. Here are the characters there. Then, assuming a conflation of imagery here, that the one is the beast from the sea, the other could then be the beast from the earth, and an eighth is the dragon. And the dragon is the one that carries the whole thing. And there is this text, again, just by way of seeing the coming together, of not certainly coming together in terms of purpose, but also maybe coming together in terms of identities. In Revelation 16:13, I saw 3 foul spirits like frogs coming from the mouth of the dragon, from the mouth of the beast, and from the mouth of the false prophet. Surely these 3 speak with the same mouth, Surely, or possibly, they may also be their identities may also be conflating. Now, let me move through my remaining slides quickly here, and then we will do more discussion next time. There is a coming together here in the end of the story. The one who is then refers to the Roman imperial reality and not to a specific Roman emperor. And in the book of Revelation, the Roman imperial reality never ends. That's a sort of, maybe it gets changed, maybe it changes its character, but it's in some ways it persists till the end of time. The other, who has not yet come, refers to a future reality, a reality that is future to John, and it supports the first one then, that we have seen. Now, I think that is a datum, that is a piece of information that in some ways defeats the contemporary historical reading, because the one who has not yet come, my way of reading this here, or this what I'm suggesting here, in the contemporary historical view, this figure is the priesthood of Asia Minor, but if you read it this way, then you would have to conclude that this is an unknown quantity from the point of view of John. The beast that was and is not and is to come refers to the demonic reality that energizes and uses both of the 2 other ones for its purpose. Let's just read the rest of it. The 10 horns that you saw are 10 kings. Here again we're talking about a future reality. 10 kings who have not yet received a kingdom, but they are to come to receive authority as kings for 1 hour together with the beast. A future reality. And then in the end there is end time unity. And I changed one of our illustrations, Snorri. I found an illustration of the image in Daniel 2. The image of Daniel 2 rests on feet of clay and iron, and it pictures a world that is divided, a world split apart, if you want to use Solzhenitsyn's view of our time. But in the end, there is going to be unity. These are united in yielding their power. The 10 kings, all of these come together. They are united in yielding their power and authority to the beast. They will make war on the Lamb, and the Lamb will conquer them, for he is Lord of lords and King of kings. And those who are with him are called and chosen and faithful. We need to stop here. We are not able to go to do the final narrative here. We are out of time. But what I have proposed as a solution here is a little different from what other people have proposed, and it is with some risk, because it supposes that there will be some success for my theory of a conflation of images, that the ones that are truly important in this story are these 3, and they are singled out. They are definitized by the language of the book of Revelation. You see, maybe I should go back to that slide again and just do the text again and end on that one. Revelation 17:10. The one is a known one. The other is also known, and an eighth then is the one that is behind the whole thing, who prefers to retain an elusive identity, but is the one who energizes the one. He's an eighth, and he is one of the 7. So let's try a little more. I was hoping that we could have dug us out of this hole today, but somebody has said when you are in a big hole, stop digging. But we'll dig a little more. Thank you.